Hello, welcome back to Let's Finally Watch It, where we watch the movies that you guys saw decades ago, but one or both of us haven't seen it. I'm Lauren-Blair Donovan with my support dog and my co-host, Laugh Lady Grimaldi.
My dog now, finders keepers, and I'm Clark.
My mental health will not survive.
I know. I'm Clark Canez with my support animal. Grimmy.
Yes, Grimmy has been lending her services lately, including right now. It's our favorite uncle.
I'm so sorry.
Her Uncle Clarky, that's what we...
Yeah.
I like adding Y's to everything for my dog, and that's what we're doing. But anyway, back to the podcast. Today we are watching American Pie because it is Thanksgiving week and there's just not a lot of good Thanksgiving movies, so let's just talk about Pie, even though it's not really a Thanksgiving movie, even remotely a little bit. So
yeah, but
you haven't seen it.
I have not seen it, and there was a reason why I know probably a lot of the plot points.
Sure.
This
it's
is
your Wizard of Oz.
Exactly, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Because I went to high school at around this time. That's all anybody talked about. I couldn't get away from it.
It was a cultural phenomenon.
Right.
Yeah, it really was.
And especially since I feel like it was just like pinpointed towards that age group that I was in, and I don't know how I didn't watch it. I think going back to it, I used to be an asshole. I'm gonna come out with it. I used to be an asshole, and I didn't like anything that other people liked, frankly. And I think most of what it was, I was just so annoyed about everybody around me quoting it. One time at band camp, if I had to hear that at the time, right now, if anybody did that,
not as visceral of a response.
Yeah. It would be weird, but also it was just all this stuff, and people were like, "Oh man, you haven't seen that?" And I'm like, no. And guess what? No, I'm not gonna like it. Hey, if you and I remember this was one of those movies too, and this is the same. I didn't say this during the preview review for Can't Hardly Wait, but they're like, oh, if you because I like a lot of the 80s teen movies, and they're like, oh, if you like 16 Candles or whatever, which I'm not even that big of a fan of anymore, but if you like that movie, you'll love it.
There's nothing like the John Hughes movies, American Pie.
Yeah.
I'm a little hit or miss with my John Hughes 80s teen movies, and the ones I've seen I didn't really care that much about and dislike, but I didn't really like either. No, American Pie is because the late 90s, in addition to being a trash fire of culture, in addition to being the Woodstock 99 generation, which go watch those documentaries if you want to know what we're talking about, just
multiple documentaries now,
yeah. It's not a great time in history for especially straight white men being total asshats. This also was the precipice of gross out comedy, which is why the John Hughes things really kind of shocks me, that comparison. Now, this movie is mild compared to probably some of the Tom Green movies that came out in its after years, but it's still... There's things about the movie that has actually gotten more shocking, which we will go into the things when we see it. It's a movie that has not aged well.
Oh, okay. So you actively know that about this movie? Though.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not... Parts of it are... God, I don't want to give anything away. There's parts of it that I can go to bat for.
Sure.
It's about young people trying to both fit in with their friends and get to the next levels in their life. That is relatable, but the way it's told, there's a lot of problematic parts of... We'll talk when we watch it. I don't even know how to dance around.
Right.
But I
know they're okay.
What do you think it's about?
The one thing I know about it is there's spying in it. Somebody was like, oh yeah, they have a webcam or something, and they do like.
Boy, is this the part that really did not age well. That
is that the main part? Okay.
That's the main thing. I'm sure there's going to be other treasures that we are going to unpack. But when I said that, that's what I was thinking of. There is a webcam situation. I'm going to only say that much. I'm not going to confirm or deny what's surrounding the webcam. Hold on to your hat when you watch it.
Okay, yeah.
Hold on to your hat.
Because I've only heard about that. And I mean, because that was what people would tell me about it. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I used to watch movies from the 80s and the 70s. Like, they're topless doesn't even pee in my head anymore. But anyways, like, yeah, so I do know that. Oh, and I know Eugene Levy's in it. And Jennifer Coolidge.
Yes.
And Jason Biggs. And Sean William Scott.
Yes.
Yes. And
there's quite a
Allison Hannigan.
Allison Hannigan. Natasha Lyonne.
Oh, okay. I don't.
Curly hair. She's in is it Russian doll?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, she's been in other Slums of Beverly Hills is what I first knew her from, but yeah, no, she's in it.
Oh my god, okay. I don't know why that
Tara Reid.
Tara Reid, yeah.
There's someone else on the Chris Klein, I think that was his
Oh
name.
yeah.
And then two dudes whose names I never remember. I'm sorry. They've been in other stuff. I just don't. One of them was in White Castle as one of the friends.
Sure.
The white dude friends that were like their equivalent stoner friends, I think, to the main characters. But I'm trying to think of any Shannon Elizabeth, who's not as much of a thing now, or I don't know what she's up to actually. Maybe she's doing a lot, but I have not heard of her recently. But she was definitely a thing in like the 90s and 2000s.
Yeah,
I think that's it in terms of like big heavy hitters. But it's a pretty, and I think that's part of why I don't love the movie, but I do like it because I like so many of the actors in it.
Right.
I'm somebody who's kind of guilty. If I like enough of the actors, I can enjoy a terrible movie.
I'll disassociate from the movie, and I'm like, this was probably a fun time on the set. You know what?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
If you think about it, I mean, like, even the movies that I don't like, I don't care for most Adam Sandler movies, but I know that he has, like, the same people over and over on his films, and I'm like, oh, that's probably so much fun for him, so I can't fault it for that. But,
Right. So besides the webcam stuff, though, what do you think this is about? Because I'm a little, I
don't know.
Yeah, okay.
Like, I think it's, because I know that he has sex with a pie.
Sure.
I mean, I'm guessing it's about, like, losing your virginity or something, right? Wow, okay. See, I'm not a big fan of those types of movies, so, like, Yeah.
I'm not going to bury the lead. Yeah, that is what it's about. There's some movies where I might plead the fifth, but I feel like this is such a... there's no point in me not confirming that. You know, there's no point. It is what it is.
And I imagine there's more to it than that, I hope. But, we'll see.
And that's what I mean. I think here's the thing. I've said this in The Sandlot. I am a sucker for any coming-of-age film. And to some extent, some teenage movies can be that too. It just doesn't have to be 10 or 12-year-olds, right? And I think... I will say the male cast, the main, 4 or 5, I think it's 4, they're really good actors. And I think they're... I don't like the mantra of boys will be boys, but I will fight someone to that. But I get that young people don't know what they're doing either. And I think that they bring, one or two of them in particular, some humanity to that journey. There's one or two, I don't want to go crazy and say there's 3 redeeming moments, but there's 2 characters in particular that I'm like, they ended up not being total trash. Okay,
I'll take that.
But it's still trash, but it's pretty trash. I don't know. We'll for sure. I'll be better at articulating this when I'm not trying to cover up plot points and all that stuff.
Right, and I also think that again, some of the other movies that we watched, it's a good time capsule. You know,
it's definitely a time capsule. Definitely.
Yeah. And you know, like some things age well in the time capsule, some don't.
Oh, there's a band in the movie too.
Oh.
And they don't play, they just have a cameo. It's a band of that time. I actually don't know if you like this band, but it's a band of that time.
Oh.
I'm just
okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, don't tell me.
I won't.
But, oh man, do I know any of the sounds? See, I don't know why, but a lot of these I'm like, the soundtrack. Well, because like
I don't know if this had like a known soundtrack. I can't even place...
I can't remember.
I remember the sequel, some of the songs in it, but I'm not...
Because I remember...
There's one song that I'm thinking of.
Okay. Because I remember on MTV, I mean, like we were talking about like 200 Cigarettes, I actually know a couple of songs off that soundtrack. Save for Later by Harvey Danger.
Oh, but originally English Beat.
By English Beat, yeah. But they do a cover of it, and it's actually really good. I love it, actually. And that's the only reason. But with, it's weird because when I think about American Pie, I think about MTV a lot for some reason, but I cannot place any songs from it. So it's hard.
The only one I'm thinking of is the Lemonheads, Mrs. Robinson, the cover.
Oh, sure.
Which I saw the Lemonheads, and I saw them for the anniversary 20 anniversary tour. Is it a shame? It's a Shame About Ray.
Oh yeah. It's a shame.
And they played every song but Mrs. Robinson, and I appreciated their integrity a lot. I was like, because their other songs are better.
You don't need to do a cover.
And they're most known for that cover by like normal people, and so I was like, I got you, Lemonheads. I got you.
Yeah,
You're
we're fine with
really
this,
good at fan live. I really love them. But I'm actually really not placing many of the other songs, so I think it's going to be a time capsule for sure. But like, is it iconic the way some others are? No. But here's something, because when you talk about the time capsule aspect of it, because I'm assuming you're thinking of Shoes All That. That was kind of like the one thing you sort of appreciate about it. What I think is so interesting about the time capsule aspect of it is that, on one hand, I hate this movie because it really is problematic on so many levels. And boy, this is going to be a meaty episode. This is going to be a meaty episode. I can already feel it. But I like American Pie more than She's All That.
Wow.
Because of some of it's the characters, some of the characters, some of the actors. And again, there's like one or two moments where I'm like, oh, that is kind of high school.
Sure.
It doesn't feel, parts of it are very exaggerated, but it doesn't, She's All That was such I'm a nerd girl and I'm a cool guy. And it was just the cliches of it all. Like some of these guys are kind of popular. Some are just normal kids in high school and they all know each other.
Right.
And that's kind of, I think, how high school often is.
Yeah, it's
not
such
as rigid.
I know. Like, that is a real weird thing that does happen in a lot of movies where it is like, oh, everybody is all the same. The groups.
It gets watered down to the common denominators of what the high school experience is, not the reality. And I don't think this movie does that, like the opposite of that perfectly, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, just like, I will say, I mean, this has no bearing on this movie, but I recently watched the newest Halloween, and actually there are bullies in that movie who are band band nerds, but they're the bad guys. And it's just funny. I do feel like people like nowadays are just like kind of going against those formulas, so it is kind of cool that
because we realize the formulas set us up for failure in real life.
Right.
The nice guys aren't often as nice as you think. The bad boys don't always have a heart of gold. The you know, or the bad guys aren't even that interesting, or like a lot of rom-coms are just real bad messaging or whatever. You have to thank goodness we're mixing it up.
Yeah.
More.
Right.
So there's a few things I can bat for this movie. Most of it I cannot, though. Like if you've watched any of our other episodes, I'm the first to point out any objectification of women. Get your popcorn out.
Okay.
Get your popcorn out. There's a lot of male gaze. Lots of male gaze. Lots of it. The whole movie could have been called male gaze.
Okay.
But I still like it more than
you still like it more than She's All That. Okay.
Because I'm a complex human.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. And I'm like willing to again
the pacing's better.
Watch it open-minded. I'm sure there's some things I'll tee at. There's probably some things that people will have explained to me, and I'm like, oh.
Right.
this is the thing. So I'm open-minded about it.
You're not gonna love it. I know that. I know that. Yeah. But we're gonna have fun watching this terrible movie.
You're just trying to ruin my day, I guess. Yeah, I'm just
with a smile, with a laugh.
Yeah. Well, no, it'll be. I'm excited to actually finally watch it because, I didn't even mean that to be, but this was one of those movies where people were like, "Wait, yeah."
It was a cultural moment. It was hard to escape. It was really hard. I didn't know of it when it was in theaters. I think I was. I don't want to say too young because I knew what was happening in theaters, but I didn't see it till halfway through high school, and it had been out for a few years at this point.
Okay.
I don't even know if I saw it in high school, now that I think about it. I think I saw parts of it, but one of my friends who was super religious didn't want to watch it, so I left her. I left with her, at a party or something. I don't even know when I saw it in its entirety. It could have been college. I'm not sure. Yeah. I genuinely don't know. So, because I wasn't super into movies about my generation either.
Yeah.
I don't like being preached to.
Yeah. Because you already know it. What better than a lot of these?
And again, it's common denominator stuff. Yeah.
Well, you have to think about it. It's written by people well out of high school usually. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and then there's just it always felt like talking down to me at that age. Because I'm like, I don't relate to this, and you want me to. So even if I did, I'm gonna rebel.
Exactly. So,
yeah.
Okay.
Well, come back in a flash. Yes. We're going to be right back, and Clark will have seen American Pie, and I'm going to avoid any gross jokes that I could make about that because there's no reason to. There's no reason.
Okay.
There's innuendos I can make about the. No, we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it.
We'll wait. We'll wait. Yeah.
No, we're just not going to do it.
You could do it. I'm probably not going to do it. So.
I'll tell you off camera.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not going to. No, bye. Okay, bye. And we are back, and Clark has seen the movie, the myth, the legend that is American Pie. Just start. Just thoughts.
Yeah.
Thoughts.
It starts off with a real bang. I was not.
I forgot how graphic the start was. I would have warned you if I knew that there was going to be a boner.
Yeah, boner alert. You gotta give me a boner alert, Jesus. But I guess you know what, we have to even out all the boobs that we've seen in movies.
That's very feminist of you. Yeah, you're right. You're not wrong.
Because I feel like there's been at least.
We've seen some titties.
Yeah, we've seen some
titties. Yeah, and we see titties in this movie.
Yeah, we do.
So
yeah. But so that oh boy. So the opening, it just really set the mood, and we watched the
tells you who they are. The second the movie starts.
We watched the rated version, not the unrated version. So I know that there's a raunchier version. I looked
up the differences. Okay. I think most of them are really subtle, but the main one was the making love to the pie scene, if you will. And I was right. He was horizontal. Because I think I caught the unrated version on a movie channel or something, or me and a friend watched it as a goof, or I don't know what it was. And I remember there's always, I don't know this movie backwards and forwards, hence I forgot how graphic it was when it started.
Right.
But when he was horizontal on top of the pie, I was like, whoa, I don't remember that. So then when I saw him standing in this version we watched, I was like, wait a second. All right, you can go see Uncle. My dog's in a mood and she's crawling all around. But so I think there was a couple language things or a few things that were a little different, but you get the point. I don't think you're missing much for either version you see. I think it's the same movie. It's not Clark Kent to Superman. It's not that different.
You're gonna definitely get the feel of it. So don't worry. Don't get the feel of it.
There's no deleted scenes. I don't think so. From what I looked up.
Okay, yeah. And because I was like, oh, should we have gotten that one? But it's fine. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with it being rated. So, but anyways, so that scene started off, but it also introduced Eugene Levy right at the beginning, which definitely is a familiar face to me. And then also Jason Biggs is still, I definitely, he had a David Schwimmer
energy. Ooh, that's a great comparison.
Yeah, definitely David Schwimmer. I think, yeah, he just has that like kind of nervous, neurotic energy.
Yeah.
And which I always like every time I watch any sort of media, that's like the person I usually latch on to. You know, kind of the more neurotic character or whatever.
Oh yeah. Did you relate to him then? Is there anything relatable about him to you?
It's hard for me to say in any of these movies because I'm so far removed from that. But yeah, I guess so. I think like in that he was like idealistic about things, you know, like I mean, because this this movie is horny as hell.
Yeah, it's like maybe the horniest movie. Like it's gotta be up there in the top 3.
Yeah, I mean they were talking about like the Little Mermaid and stuff like
Although
that.
to be fair, when I was playing video games in high school with my friends Mike and Eric, we were playing The Lion King on Super Nintendo, which I still have and it still works.
Wow.
Not proud of that. My friend Mike turns to us and says, "You gotta admit, Nala's pretty hot." And then we both turned and looked at him, and he was like, "For a lion." And it's a joke that stuck. He literally texted me this summer, and I didn't have his number, which is weird because we talk on Facebook Messenger sometime. I don't know if one of us got a new number at some point over the past decade since we last actually like texted the old-fashioned way. But he just texted me a screenshot of The Lion King. It was like, I'm showing my daughter The Lion King because he has a little baby now.
Yeah.
And I was like, this better be Mike Silver or I'm going to be creeped out.
Yeah,
and he was like, it is. I'm like, great. Okay, but it's like, even like millions of years later, it's just like, it was a joke. He's a funny guy. But yeah, it was said too sincerely, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure. I know.
I think it's hilarious.
Especially like at that time in your life, you're always gonna latch on to something.
And I think he was just being silly, to be honest. I don't think he had fantasies about Nala. I'm not gonna like throw him under the bus, especially since I said his full name. But he grew up to be a very functional adult, by the way. Like, he's a real adult. But yeah.
There's definitely good-looking, cartoon characters, but I think, you know, as long as you don't take it too far.
Yeah. But I think Jason Biggs' character was totally serious about Ariel being hot.
Oh,
that was not a joke.
But at least she's a human.
Eventually.
Humanoid.
Eventually.
Yeah. So I don't think that, I guess it's not that bad, but like also it's like, yeah, it's just like, and it's so weird because this is one of those things where they're like, oh yeah, all high school kids are exactly like this. And it's like, no, not really. Like, there's plenty of that for sure.
Yeah,
it's like
that's some people's journeys. For sure.
And I'm not gonna say that doesn't exist, but I generally don't think that people were talking about it nonstop like that. You know, like
Yeah, I agree. What I did find a little bit interesting, though, and this kind of tracked for me a little bit later in life, I don't know if it was like whenever the last time I saw it was, or maybe even this time, but I was like, you know, all the boys, it's interesting to me that they were all virgins besides Stifler, only because like some were jocks, some were kind of nerds. Like Jason Biggs' character wasn't a nerd, but he wasn't like the guy that girls were trying to get with, you know, either. But I could see Chris Klein's character. Girls must have had crushes on him. He was an athlete, and he was still so I thought I like that they represented, because just because you're in a certain archetype, if you will, in real life, doesn't mean that you're hitting every milestone that's known for that. So I was like, oh, it's interesting that this is like a group of boys who know each other, but they're not identical.
Oh, that was another thing. I
appreciate that part
different
of it.
Walks of life.
Different walks of life, and yet they're all in this. They all feel very stuck in this one. They want to level up. Sexually. So I mean, like, I don't know. I like it when it's not a given that every jock. Is, you know, already banged 50 chicks by the time they graduate, and I like that. They can all be friends even though they're a little bit different too. That's one of the few redeeming things about this movie to me.
No, for sure. And I think, I mean, as we've said in a lot of these movies, it really is just like about, oh, it's cool to see like just friends. Yeah. Even though they prank each other half of the time in horrible ways. Like...
Did they?
Yeah, I mean, they had the laxatives.
Oh, but that was Stifler.
No, I get that, but they're all in the same friends group, and they're still doing that.
But they're not really friends of Stifler, though. They use Stifler for his parties.
I guess so.
That gets a little more fleshed out later in the franchise. Sure. He's like one of those satellite friends that you're familiar with, and then the older you get, you're like, oh, we were never close.
Sure, yeah.
So, but I can see, I can see where that would be, like, because Stifler was the one that was not like them anyway. And he was a bona fide jerk.
Yeah, no, he is, but also I think even like Chris Finch, he kept saying stuff about himself at the detriment of other people in his friend group.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, like I don't know. There's like something that he said because that's why Stifler gets back at him.
Because he's mean to Stifler. Yeah, he's mean to Stifler.
Well, because I know, like, they probably know Stifler through Chris Klein's character because they play lacrosse together.
Right.
Which, I didn't know that was a real sport. You know, I can't believe that's a real sport. That must be an East Coast thing because
they're in the Midwest. They were in
Midwest,
like Michigan or Wisconsin or one of those places.
Yeah, so.
We eventually had lacrosse. I think when I was a junior, it came to our school, and half my friends played, half my guy friends played.
I mean, because that's field hockey, right? Or no? Or I don't know.
I think it's the same. Field hockey, soccer, even basketball to an extent are all kind of the same, but like there's not sticks. But it's vertical. You like catch it and throw it. Yeah. Versus like hockey.
Yeah. Anyways, I think it's a ridiculous sport. I'm sorry if you guys play lacrosse out there, but
hot take.
I mean, like I think sports are all weird, but I think that one in particular, it's like I don't know. It seems very strange, but yeah, okay. But anyways, yeah. But there's also and then like Stifler kind of gets into his. Sometimes it's his own like fault for getting into some of these situations as well. So,
like which stuff?
Like he drank the cum drink, or the cum beer.
Yeah.
That was.
He deserves everything that comes.
Yeah, for sure.
Nicest guy.
No, and there are people like that in high school for sure. So
for sure.
Yeah, but I do think that I think that there's a certain element though of like, okay, these people are just trying to figure stuff out because back then, I mean, they go a little bit into the internet. They talk about the net as we were talking about before, but like I don't feel like there's that many like resources on
I would not have known how to do a webcam in 1999.
Oh, I don't like.
I would not have.
Like we were talking about, like during it, webcams wouldn't have been that high of a quality at that time.
Yeah. And it wasn't even that high quality in the movie, but it was better than what was probably shown.
Yeah, I mean, unless it was like a rich ass school or something.
It felt like all the kids lived in pretty nice houses, so it could have been an affluent or at least upper middle class. I'm assuming upper middle class.
Yeah,
community
for sure. Yeah, but even then, it was just the technology of the time, though. Too. I mean, it would take a lot of time just to get one picture downloaded.
Yeah.
But I remember, oh my god, my sister's gonna kill me, but she had a big crush on John Travolta, and she made me print out a picture of John Travolta, and it took me so long to download it at this time. I mean,
and then printing out a color photo still takes a while to some extent, but that would have taken so long in the 90s. Oh my god.
Well, especially, I don't know what server they would have, sorry, getting all technical, but I don't know what server they would have been able to have that would have been able to handle the bandwidth of transmitting it to that many computers. Anyways,
Nerd alert.
I'm cool. Everybody loves me, and I'm cool. That's my motto. But anyways, but like going back to it, like I really don't think that their health classes are a joke. I used to think the way that people would have a baby. the only thing that I ever heard about ejaculation. Sorry, this is gonna get raunchy. I guess.
This is X-rated. Podcast.
Yeah, this is X-rated. This is the unrated version of.
Or the health phys ed, sex ed that you should have gotten.
Yeah.
One or the other.
Right. So like I remember. The only thing that they ever talked about was nocturnal emissions, which is a wet dream or whatever. So I thought that was the only way. So I was like, oh, so they have to fall asleep he has to fall asleep inside her to do that. And then, oh, okay, that's how babies are made. Wow. Like, yeah. So like, it really, it was a real, not misunderstanding on my part, but I think also when the teachers are, I mean, how awkward, I remember when I was in health class, I wanted to just die. I just wanted to die. Yeah.
Well, one of my friends did Teach for America after he graduated, and I feel like he was younger for his age anyway, so he was like 21 probably when he got the job, and he had to give the sex ed talks.
Yeah.
And he's also. This is before the world had changed to the point that it is, but not 1999 either. Flamboyantly gay guy giving sex ed talks to kids in a public high school. Like, that's
awkward.
He's like, yep, it's my job.
I know. I think.
Like, oh man, that sounds awful.
Yeah, and then. I mean, especially like now, I feel like they probably already know because they do have the internet.
I know.
But so there's nothing that's really they're gonna learn from.
No mystery.
Yeah,
it's not a good thing. It's borderline child abuse to be too young and watching porn. Like, I mean, they're abusing themselves, and I don't mean that in the normal masturbation joke. This is hard. This is hard to talk about. But like, no, it's not good for your brain to see that stuff at that age.
Yeah.
That can be scarring, and not to mention most porn is not especially friendly towards women if you're watching hetero porn at least, so
exactly.
A lot of bad messaging.
Yeah. So and I do think like the whole scrambled porn thing, that was a thing. I remember it too.
I only took a few notes for this, but I was like, I never thought scrambled porn would be so ancient. Like, that's not a thing anymore. I can't imagine it.
No.
Like,
I mean, I don't know. I
outdated.
haven't had cable in a long time, but yeah.
But it's probably not scrambled because isn't cable so digital now? Anyway, it would have been like a frequency. I don't know.
It just wouldn't come up. Yeah. It would just
be like channel not available.
Yeah. Nothing would come through. Yeah. I think you're right. But I think. I think like all these kids kind of just had like bad intel or whatever, and. Of course, like something does get that kid does get the manual. Do you remember, in the library?
Bible. That's what they called it.
Yeah.
Which, like, okay, at least he cared about getting her off, and at least there was like a bunch of other dudes that cared about the art of female pleasure, if you will. But it gave me the ick nonetheless.
No, it's for sure. Yeah. It's,
tornado tongue. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. It was really weird. It was definitely. So, in this being my first time watching it, I realized. So, like, I do think I remember, like, MILF coming from this movie. Because now it's just. People say it.
Like, it's a word. It's just a word.
Yeah, it's just a word. Nobody bats an eye at it anymore. But, like, before it was, like, we knew what it meant. And. I really see like a few things from this movie where kids were talking about it. Of course, I mean,
it was a cultural touchstone, for better or for worse. It was a moment in time. More than probably any of the other teen movies we're gonna watch.
Yes, this
was the cultural holy grail.
Yeah, and I had no interest in watching it at all. So it's kind of interesting. Watching it now and being like, oh, okay, like that's where that kid got that word from or whatever.
Right.
So like what a weird. Sorry, it was just weird. It was weird all around.
But it was, I think, John Cho who was the guy that said it, and he comes back for some of the other movies too.
I think I saw him. I watched the trailers.
We were talking about this when he arrived. I think we, maybe not for the podcast, maybe for the podcast, write to us if you want us to. But I kind of want you to see, just so we could have a laugh on a Saturday afternoon and see the other movies too.
For sure.
But I love John Cho.
Please vote no. But yeah.
But no, I love John Cho.
Oh, I love John Cho.
I forgot he was in this, low-key.
He was in a show that I really liked. God, I can't remember the name of it, but it was a time travel show. And yeah, I love him so much. Yeah. He's a treasure. And it's so weird that this was one of the first things that he was in. It's
amazing to think that White Castle was a graduation of this. That's way, and it's I feel like I've watched White Castle twice over the past 10 years, and one time I'm oh, this isn't that good, and then another time I was oh, this is better than I thought it was the last time, but I still don't think it's amazing.
Yeah,
but in 2004 or 2005, that was the jam. Amazing. Especially if you'd ever smoked pot, which was still illegal. So it was all these inside jokes, potheads, going down the hallway, and it's literally 2 feet. They're ugh, too far. I'm
you know what's
cackled
weird?
At that.
When I watched it, I didn't smoke marijuana. I'm a relative recent.
Freaky Friday role reversal.
Yeah. No, I didn't get on it until my late 20s, to be honest. So I really wonder how that would age for me. I should probably rewatch that.
Yeah.
Maybe. But going back to other things that people have been in, Dude, Where's My Car? I used to really like Dude, Where's My Car with Sean Scott and Stifler. And so I've always he's always been kind of endearing to me, but then watching this I'm oh shit, I guess he was the asshole this whole time. But he's obviously not. He's an actor. He does a great job in this movie, to be honest.
He committed,
yeah.
He did. He did a great, hating the character is a good job of the actor.
Absolutely.
More people don't know that, though. There's so many people that hate actors because they hate the role. And it's but that means they did their job.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's pretty insane.
Actor. Yeah.
How could... Yeah, people are so bad at I think there's been such a push, I will say, with modern movies and even TV shows, because now it's an expanded universe, so you know everything about this character. So it really is they're a part of your friends group and stuff like that.
Right,
so when they do something bad, it's oh my God.
Personal betrayal. Yeah. It's triggering almost.
Right. But anyways, one of the characters that I genuinely didn't like in it, again, not the actor, but Finch.
I hate that character so much.
I did not.
I've never understood that character. The more I rewatch it, the more I'm who was he representing in high school? Kind of the pretentious, intellectual pseudo, but he doesn't even fully commit. The character doesn't. I don't think it's the actor, but the way it's written.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't know. I will say, this is coming from a pretentious high schooler.
Right.
I will admit, but he just, or maybe that's why he irks me, I guess, too, but
he was in cargo shorts.
Yes.
And you even said socks and sandals or something, which I missed, but
he was doing the putt when he was putting. Ugh. Also, who's putting at high school?
Yeah, it wasn't a trope. It was not, they didn't get the trope that they were trying to
for sure
do, right?
Yeah.
It was confusing.
But also at the same time, I would be if I went to that high school, I'd be oh, yeah, I'm gonna bully this I'm gonna bully this
kind
asshole.
Of a weirdo. Thinks he's better than me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
you can bully people that think they're better than you. You have permission.
Yeah.
Don't take my advice, but wink. It's fine. If people are pretentious, say,
yeah, sometimes you have to take them down.
Don't. But I don't like this character. I don't like this character either.
I
was glad that we were on the same. I was glad you said that because I was yes, thank you.
And I just it just kind of he kind of just and also he was wearing a tuxedo and he wore Converses, and I get how, but I'm he's not the cool kid who wears Converses with a tuxedo.
And he's not alternative or edgy enough where that makes especially for 1999.
Yeah.
I feel like more people in like the mid 2000s started to wear Converse shoes with tuxedos as mainstream type things, not just like a niche, oh, we're kind of secretly punk rock but acting like adults at our wedding or whatever kind of stuff.
But it didn't fit with his classy, his classy persona.
Yeah, was he classy or alternative? Or like the guy who's normal but with some mystery? Yeah. I couldn't figure it. Yeah, I didn't like it.
Anyways, so that's I think out of all the characters, because like honestly, I think Chris Klein, that smile, he lights up a room.
So handsome.
Yeah.
Like he's so, like I hate that because he's way too young for me in that movie now, but like watching it, I'm still like, he's so
oh
my god,
he is so,
he's not even my type, but that's how charming he is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And handsome, like,
yeah. And I'm trying to like almost like, I'm trying to figure out who else he reminds me of, but he
reminds,
or like I guess of Freddie Prinze Jr.
Yeah.
I mean, because but one thing I will say about this, as opposed to Freddie Prinze Jr. Characters or his character,
he has an arc.
He has an arc, yeah. Because at the beginning he's like
kind of
he's
lame,
a douche.
Yeah, like a lame douche. Like he's not even an original douche. Like he's literally the epitome of a facade, where he's just like, this is what men do.
Right.
Men are about sex and they talk down to women and like, they all watch Lifetime and da-da-da-da. And then it turns out that was probably covering up a really nice person. And I think in the rest of the franchise, he's still a nice person.
Yeah.
It's like something that's stuck,
Yeah.
So may have started for the wrong reasons, but sometimes bad choices lead to good things.
Yeah,
I hate to give so many bad PSAs in this, like back to back, like bully pretentious people, and sometimes bad choices save you. But I don't know, sometimes you accidentally learn something.
Yeah.
Through not great motives.
Right, and you learn stuff about yourself too. I mean, like, I will say, like he is probably my favorite character in it. Like, I mean, he's just like, probably actually Natasha Lyonne's my favorite character in this.
Voice of reason.
Well,
We'll
talk about that later. But she's definitely But I do think that, like, it was neat to see him in that process, figuring out, what is really important for him, and he does, and
coming into his own.
And he does do the right thing. Him and Menesvari's character, like he really has a change of heart pretty fast in the movie, relatively, and because he obviously gets rejected by that college woman.
Why was she even out with him to begin with, though? Like, I would never, as a college student, be like, I'm going on a date tonight with a senior in high school.
My goodness.
Or even just a friend date if I thought, like, I friend zoned him. Like, why hang out with someone who's still in high school?
I know, yeah.
You don't know them already.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
But I do feel like he was... But also I feel like he could pass as older, maybe. Too, so maybe that's what it was. But I do, I liked him. And, I mean... Like, none of the jokes really came from him, though, necessarily. He was more of the heart of the movie.
Yeah, no. I mean, the beginning, Suck Me Beautiful. Like, that's funny for the wrong reasons. He didn't think he was being a comedian when he said that, but it was a punchline. But he's the heart of the movie. The only thing that drove me a little nuts about him bonding with, I forget the character's name, but Mina Savari. I always get Mira Sorvino and Mina Savari.
Mira Sorvino. God.
You see what I mean? Like, I can't do it. I'm sorry. But the choir girl, who's an American Beauty, and she's a great actress. It's not a dig at her. I'm just very bad with similar sounding names. Bad at names in general. The only thing I didn't love about that is, like, okay, I can deal with the fact that it's high school and they just start liking each other, even though there's no depth. I can deal with that. But when he's at the subculture sandwich place and making her stuff, you like the name of that a lot.
I did like that, yeah.
They're bonding over the most normal of things. It is a pet peeve of mine when, like, teens bond. I remember this happened in European Vacation when Rusty meets another American wherever they are in this particular country, and he's like, "Yeah, my parents suck too." yeah, my parents don't get it too. They're kind of lame. And I'm like, what a thing to have in common. That's like probably every teenager. That's not a real spark. And they're like, yeah, I don't know what to do in college. I don't know. And I'm like, and that's like I just wish that like any teens bonding, it could be like, I secretly still have all my action toys, me too. Or something that's a little weirder and a little more like, oh, this is something strange we have in common, and not most teens not knowing what the F they want to do for the rest of their lives.
Shocker.
Like, oh wow, like really you couldn't have gotten that from your friends? Like that was supposed to create a deep, I think what I resent about it is it's supposed to be like, see, they're meant to be. It's a real connection. I'm like, or it's like every other teenager in America at that age, but that's just like a pet peeve of mine. That's just me, but
no, it's I get that for sure, and like,
but besides that, adorable. Fine. I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, and then she even like goes
because she's assertive too.
She is,
That's rare for that time.
Yeah,
and she was nice about it. She didn't play it as a bitch. She was just assertive. In the hands of another actress, may have been a different role.
Right, absolutely. And also, I think it was pretty well written. I mean, considering it's from this movie, it is written pretty well because there are some other female characters that are written horribly.
Name them. Let's do it.
Shannon Elizabeth. Holy shit. My goodness.
I was being driven nuts for a lot of reasons. Grammy, what are we doing? Wait, this is so not the main grievance of the whole scene in Jim's room, but what I was really fixated on was like, she was supposed to change because she was specifically at ballet class. Yeah. That's not what I'm a former ballerina. That's not what you wear to ballet.
You just don't.
When I drop in ballet classes as an adult, I can wear whatever the fuck I want because I'm an adult. School-aged kids there's a uniform in ballet.
You get sent home.
Yeah, I mean, in some schools I went to, you could wear any old leotard. Some schools, you had to wear the black uniform black unitard. Is that what I'm trying to say? Leotard. Thank you. Leotard. Yeah. Jesus, my brain is going bye bye. I'm getting tired. Yeah. Black leotard with pink tights specifically.
Wow. Okay, so it was
like
specific.
The last one I was at, it was a literal ballet academy, and like other schools that had jazz and tap and stuff, you could maybe have more wiggle room, but sometimes for their ballet classes, no, it was still the black leotard thing. She was in sweats and like a tank top.
I mean, like
sweat shorts and a tank top.
It would even be weird to wear it at a gym. Like, I mean, or gym-ish. It was more...
You could wear it to a gym.
Yeah, it was more for a gym than anything.
Yeah. Or you could wear it to a modern dance class, but not ballet.
Yeah, not ballet. It's very specific.
And it would have been so adorable to see her in a ballet outfit.
Yeah.
Like, she would have looked really pretty. Like, I don't get the costuming choice with that. It just...
I don't know why. I mean,
It was technically very false.
No, and... My only thing is like maybe she was lying about why so she could come later in the day. I don't know.
Or have an excuse to change, but that's like okay. We're at the scene. We're going to talk about this scene.
Yeah, I guess we're going to talk about the scene. Yeah.
I'm sorry. No woman would. Okay, if I were that age, hell, if I were this age now, if I was changing in a man's bedroom, I would make it so fast. I've been in those situations where it's like a pool party and you gotta change in your friend's bedroom or whatever it may or may not be. You do it so fast, not because you think someone's gonna be a predator and like watching you on the internet necessarily, but people can apparently. Yeah. But that's also like you just don't. Someone could walk in, like whatever, just get it over with. That's not why you're there. It's a technical thing you have to do. Not only does she like take her sweet time, she snoops while being topless. Yeah. And then starts masturbating. Like I would never masturbate in one of my friends' bedrooms when they're supposed to walk in at any moment. Yeah. Probably not ever, but especially not at that particular.
But also not even that. It's also kind of like, I mean, it's under the pretense whether I don't know whether or not it's how true it is that they were studying, but like. If you're the person's waiting for you, I mean,
you don't start a session by yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's mentally ill to me.
Yeah, I mean, this was definitely a mind.
And that's not sex shaming or sexuality. I'm pro women doing whatever the hell they want.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But like, that's just not a thing. It's not a thing. Yeah. Like. No, I never see it any differently, no matter how many times I see this movie for one reason or another. I'm just like, what?
Yeah, I don't know. It was...
Like, even the bad girls. And because if she was doing it on purpose, hoping that he would walk in on her, she would have been gratuitous and making noises. She would have been looking at the door happily, like hoping. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even think it was that. If it was that, that's a different conversation. But like...
Yeah, but also she got sent back to Czechoslovakia for this whole thing too. So, or the Czech Republic,
whatever it was at the time. Yeah, and that was literally the last scene we see her in, because it's not like I guess she and Jim did have like a little Skype or video chat, whatever it was, at the end. But yeah, she was literally just a sex object in the movie. Yeah, that was the writing.
I was
and
like,
nice. She's agreeable and like you know, and it's just no depth, just sexual desire.
It's also that like empty vessel, like trope that, you know, it's like, oh, the foreign person.
That's a whole loaded thing too.
The foreign person, or the like new robot, or you know, like whatever they.
Yeah, whatever.
Do.
Yeah.
Whatever. But I was
it's
like...
It's a fetish.
It's a fetish, yeah. And...
don't fetishize foreigners. Like, that's a thing. Yeah. That's a real thing.
I know. I mean...
It doesn't feel as gross because she's white and it was like a European thing. For sure. But that's especially bad with Asian women in particular, black men, like...
Yeah, it happens. Yeah, it happens a lot.
Dangerous territory.
I don't know. But, I think that there's... so I mean that whole thing, but I will say, fun cameo from Blink-182.
Yeah,
I thought that was great. I thought that was really cool.
They did a good job too. I mean, they were believable,
perfectly believable
for rock stars. It's not always a guarantee.
Yeah, Blink-182 is kind of funny because like was never a huge fan of Blink-182, but like I'm still nostalgic for that, I guess. Yeah,
I like I think it was their second album. I listened to that.
But I listened to Dude Ranch. I don't know.
It was the one after. It was the one. I forget what it was called. It may have been like a weird self-titled. Even though it was the second one, I might be wrong. Actually, I think I'm wrong.
Take off your pants and jacket.
I don't know.
Do you remember that one? Maybe that's like the third one or something. But I barely got the meaning behind that. Take off your pants and jacket, and I was like, oh, okay, take off. And then somebody explained to me, like, no. Take off your pants and jack it.
Oh, I didn't get that one.
I know. It was not until like 10 years later that somebody had to explain to me.
See, I liked them enough in their time, but I didn't go apeshit for them, because I also didn't think they were real punk.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit of an elitist snob about that, but I actually like them. I've warmed my cold black strawberry heart, so I like them now. But
and I think that they're fun people. They're fun, they're goofy, and like I remember their videos being very funny.
Oh, so, hilarious! Yeah. They like spoof the Backstreet Boys. It's so good. Oh my god, that
was a really funny
small
video.
Things. That's such one of the better videos, I would say.
Yeah,
top 20 for sure.
Oh, I think that's great. Yeah. But just transmitting that to the whole school and everything.
And I know he meant to only do it to his friends, but that's still inappropriate as hell. Yeah. Like that's
sexual offender territory. That's like jail time territory.
That's peeping Tom of the new millennium.
Yeah,
like it's revenge porn before that was a term.
Right. Exactly.
You know, like it's. Did you know a law has been passed in California, or it's about to be passed, that dick pics are illegal?
Oh, dick pics!
Unsolicited ones.
About time. Yeah, about time.
I know.
Yeah, but I think it was such a weird thing. I feel like there was a I get that they're making this movie for people who are younger and stuff like that. So I get where the whole thing was, but I really just it was a little painful.
It's interesting because it's like we watched a little bit of an interview with them like 20 years later, and I did a little bit of digging after the fact, and a lot of the cast, it's blurred when it was said, if it was when I read or when we watched, but a lot of the cast was like, oh, I like the script so much because it felt real.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, like that just doesn't. And
there's so many unrealistic things about it.
And like, okay, if you, is it that we were more sexually oppressed and that this actually dealt with teenage sexuality in a more frank way? Is that what they were responding to?
I think
even if it was wackadoodle the way they did it? Like, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
The desperation, for sure.
Sure, maybe.
I mean, you know, when you're like a horny teenager, you'll look for anything.
This should have been called Can't Hardly Wait.
Right, exactly.
It's almost like not correctly named. They should have it. I don't think the other Can't Hardly Wait should be American Pie, but
but also, that was another thing. I get why it's called American Pie, but like, I don't know if I would have named it that.
It was supposed to. They had a bunch of working title names, and they eventually landed on that one.
Yeah,
I did read that.
They're both of these movies. They're both named after songs.
Yep, that's true. That's true. My dog is not in the mood to sit still today.
Yeah. But other than that, I guess like the whole thing about it. I mean, in my preview review, like this is exactly what I thought it was going to be. So I wasn't expecting anything different. So because like there was even a quote in here. It's tradition like the Rose Bowl.
Wait, say that again?
They said it's a tradition like the Rose Bowl, having sex after prom or whatever. And I was like, what fucking nerd is saying the Rose Bowl? Like, who are you? Oh, yeah,
and I was going to say, well, California. I'm like, oh, they're in Michigan.
Yeah.
But, like, isn't that a football thing?
It is a football thing,
so maybe they are.
Oh, I don't know.
There's football nerds. They were jockey. Maybe.
I guess so, yeah. I don't know.
They could have said Orange Bowl. They could have said something else.
No.
Those are the bowls I know.
No, not only that, but it's like, it's a tradition like and I'm like, okay. I don't know. I don't know. It's just a weird
They could have picked
quote.
A different tradition. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fair. Yeah. So, Natasha Lyonne, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was your favorite.
Oh, yeah. She was great. And, the voice of, like you were saying, the voice of reason. I love her in anything, frankly.
She was probably too sophisticated for a high schooler. Yes. That's my only note.
She already has that smoker's voice,
too. I know. I mean, it's perfectly cast. If you're going to write a character like that, cast Natasha Lyonne. But I think I wish she would have had some deep down insecurity. She was just a little too worldly and comfortable in her own skin to have that be a believable high school character, but I still enjoyed the hell out of her. Yeah. So I'm not mad at it, but I'd be remiss to not point that out. Like, I don't think any girl is like that at 17 or 18 years old.
Yeah.
No matter what their experiences are.
Yeah.
She was just too cool for school, but very likable. She has quite the on-screen charisma, always.
Right, yeah. And she's like, and she's the sage that's giving out, like, the real information. Like,
she's a good friend to Tara Reid.
Yeah, she is.
Like, she really is. Like, she's not making fun of her except for when it's, like, kind of appropriate, but it's in good fun. And she's giving her the information that, she needs and stuff, so. Yeah, and
I think it is kind of cool to have that to contextualize everything. So,
Yes.
I think I would have definitely not liked the movie as much if...
They needed a character that felt... Yeah. Even though I said it's not a real high school character, she still felt like a real human.
Right, yeah.
Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. I also didn't like the Tara Reid boyfriend character that much either.
Yeah, he was a very
He wasn't well written to me.
Yeah.
Because he kind of cared. I could not tell if he really loved her or not.
Yeah, I know.
I really couldn't. I think he cared about her, but I don't think he even knew.
Yeah.
And he was really pushy and insecure in a weird way.
Yeah, but he was like... reluctant to say I love you. I get
Which
it.
Is like fine.
That's
that's not a character fault line, especially if you don't feel it. Like
Yeah. But so I don't blame him for that, but it is also like, I don't know. It's weird because he's pushing so hard for it.
Even with his friends, and they get sick of it.
And the thing is that he's the only one that's in a relationship at the beginning, but like he ends up kind of just being the relationship person, and I don't know. He was a very non-entity. Of course, not as like offensive to me as Finch, but
right. Like he's a little more fleshed out, but
but
still confusing the way he's kind of written. Like I can't tell if he's a good guy that just needs to grow up, or if he's just one of those guys. Like,
exactly.
Not my favorite. What do you think of Miss Bandcamp?
Oh, I love Allison. I used to be I used to watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I've never seen Buffy.
It's great. It's really fun. I personally like the movie a lot. Mm-hmm. The show's good. It goes into it diverts off a little bit too much. Allison Hannigan is so funny. She is hilarious. And I think like she would have been the only one that was like well known, except for like maybe Natasha Lyonne or whatever. Mm-hmm. And but that reveal that she is a freak is so satisfying and so
funny. You don't see it coming.
Yeah, you don't see it coming, yeah.
And it's that was one of the more realistic. Okay, so again, I've talked about this in past episodes. I went to a really small high school, so I don't know it's normal for other high schools. Our band was a hodgepodge of all the kids, so there was no cliche of like a band geek. Like I literally have spent my whole adulthood trying to figure out, because this comes up in other movies too, like, I played band. I'm like, but there were like actual popular kids that were in the band, like or jocks were in the band. Like I didn't
had to,
I didn't really get it. But okay, in my school though, it felt like a lot of the theater kids were all freaks.
Yeah, no, that's
like in that way, in the sexual way.
Yeah.
And so it's like, but they weren't the cool kids. They weren't the most beautiful. They weren't. I mean, some of them maybe, but not most were not. They were just very normal, adolescent, average, coming into their looks and social graces, if you will, kind of kids, and they were all banging each other or doing other inappropriate things with body parts with each other, and like you wouldn't have seen it coming. That's what you think the jocks do. So I did like that they had this nerdier, more unassuming girl getting some, I guess, all of high school, because I think it is sometimes the unexpected kids.
Yeah, exactly. So if you think about like, because I always think about it in this way, like when you think about jocks, they're with men most of the time. Every once in a while, they're practicing hours a day with men, or whatever, or and women with women usually. Because that's the way sports
work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless it's cross country, and they can all run together until it's. No, you can still kind of run together in the matches. Because you just get different time depending on genders. Yeah,
but all the arts, it's mixed gender, so you have a lot more friction with and then you get comfortable with people, so it's a little bit different, and so I think that's why that ends up happening usually.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They go to camp together,
right. I also never went to camp, so some of this is lost on me too.
But they would have like theater camp and stuff like that. I think we went one time, to theater camp, but it wasn't even that much of a camp. But it's a little bit more co-ed, and I feel like there's more, opportunities to like form these relationships with people and like being comfortable with that, and I do think that it is interesting that she kind of is the one out of the entire movie, except for maybe Natasha Lyonne. And
experience.
Yeah.
So were you totally shocked by that admission? Did you see that coming?
I was pretty shocked. Yeah, I'll be honest. Just the way she says it.
Yeah.
Because like her character, like she is supposed to be the annoying girl.
Yeah, a little one-dimensional.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, cool. We turned it up. So because like up until that point, it was kind of grating, I guess.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, I remember at one point you're like, oh, she really does say that a lot. Yeah. Almost one time at band camp.
Because like I just remember in school, oh my god, that's all people were talking about.
Which is insane because MILF only gets said once or twice in one of the first scenes. Yeah. And it had a cultural stranglehold to this day. But like the other big one-liner was said so much, so no wonder everyone was quoting it.
No, and there used to be shirts. I remember with it.
I remember that, huh?
This one time, and I remember that being a shirt. So, I feel like that's the one that kind of is the pop culture. Yeah, definitely. But I think she was. I thought she was funny. I think out of all the, it's weird because I think honestly probably the funniest characters, or like the most well-written characters, and then the worst-written characters are women. Yeah. So
what do you think about Tara Reid's character? We haven't really talked about her character.
Tara Reid's character.
She's kind of somewhere in the middle for me. I don't know how to. I don't know how to place her. She confuses me, but not for the reasons the other characters confuse me.
I think those two people deserve each other because, like, I think they're perfectly like.
Mm-hmm. I have more compassion towards her though because I think she did love him, and I think she really did. I mean, girls are fed so much about fantasy everything, whether it's fantasy dream date. Fantasy first kiss, fantasy first going all the way. So I think she was just very much a byproduct of her time, which I think he was too. So maybe you're right. Maybe I'm agreeing with you because I think he was like, we got to get it over with. Yeah. And that he was a byproduct of his time too. I should give him that same treatment. She's kind of a one-dimensional like character too. Like we know she's smart. She gets into Cornell.
Yeah.
But we don't see a lot of that. Exactly.
Like she was, But
she was a good girl next door type, you know, where like she was trying to decide if and when. It wasn't. I like that they didn't make her a sex fiend. Yeah. I like that they made Allison Hannigan secretly that. Like, I mean, they could have made Vicky. Be more that.
So I thought she was. I thought she was fine, but it was just like. Yeah, this thing, she was she was precious about it, which she should be.
Yeah, especially when he's pressuring.
Yeah, when he's pressuring.
Oh my god.
Because I don't think that's a great situation, especially for high schoolers too.
Yes.
But I did like, she kind of not super memorable in the movie though because
she was a vehicle for the man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
100%.
And I think that's the issue that I have. Yeah. And I think but I also think that's why Natasha Lyonne. I mean, I think it's in service of literally all the other characters. So I think that's why she's kind of like a non-entity in my head. Yeah, because she's like definitely not the master of her domain. In a lot of ways, so yeah.
I thought it was so interesting too that as much as this movie is kind of gross for all the reasons we've discussed, I think the competitive nature of the human spirit and feeling like you're above certain people is unfortunately all too true because they start this whole like, okay, we're going to make a pact thing when they mistakenly think that Sherman, the Shermanator, has sex.
Right.
And as much as I want to get angry about that, like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna admit something kind of bad about my past. So I was making out. Actually, we're gonna go into the whole story. This is actually like a pretty bad story. I'm bad and the victim in this story. Actually, it's a layered story. There's this guy I was friends with, and we were making out, and thank God I was kind of a late bloomer. Because he was apparently doing all kinds of stuff with 5 other women.
Wow.
And how I found this out was he emailed all 6 of us.
What?
And said, I'm trying to come clean. I'm trying to get a fresh start. This is what I've done with all of you. And some women did more than just make out.
Sure.
And it was crazy because, again, this is a small town. So my best friend was on the list, but we knew that. We were Eskimo sisters all the fucking time, and for many years later. And it just was what it was. So luckily we had a very healthy friendship in that regard, and just laugh about that stuff, because I don't think either one of us was in love with the men we shared, which is really gross. Again, small town life, guys. The CW shows are not totally lying. Everyone dates everyone. It's true. But there was like people on the list that like thought I was better friends with them than I was, and they used to date him. There's one girl that like hated me.
Oh, okay.
Who was on the list.
Yeah.
And there was also a girl who was not attractive, like at all, like was known as not being attractive. And me being an insecure 17-year-old was like,
oh my God, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like, and I felt so insecure, and it did make me competitive and want to outdo her. So it's not like the same thing. But like, there is, especially if you're insecure or young, if you find out someone's doing better than you, it really does set off all these like alarm bells that are not great. But where the story gets even worse is this email was passed around, not unlike the whole webcam thing.
So are people outside of that 6?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
My old cross-country coach read it, apparently. I had already quit because of exercise-induced asthma. I was a really cool kid. But yeah, I mean, like, it was like...
Yeah.
It was a joke. It was like a thing.
That's so bizarre.
Yeah.
But...
Like...
In a way, I mean, obviously not a great dude, but, like, good that he did come clean, but what
he could have done it
way.
In such a different way.
Yeah.
Like, such a different... He could have just
way.
cut ties and been like, to all 6 of us individually, like, this... We just have to be friends, because I'm involved with other people, and I think he's a codependent person.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, he's had other issues. This is not someone I'm friends with anymore. He's someone my friends and I kind of make fun of because of a lot of choices that he's made, but that involve treating other people not great. So it is what it is. But but anyway, going back to the Sherman of it all, like as much as I want to hate that plot point, it did humanize the boys, even though toxic competition's really bad, and I don't want to condone that.
No, for sure.
That is the type, especially when you're young, it's monkey see, monkey do. You're trying to figure out what's normal. Are you above normal, below normal? And like, it's too human for me to be too mad at, even though I think it's gross.
And also, I think like Sherman, especially since he's like a tangential character, he's even him, like So I think.
And he talks to himself in third person. That's not the guy that like you think chicks want, because they don't. And
I think that adds to the stakes, of course.
Yes.
I mean, that's what they need to get them into.
And people lie, because he ended up lying.
Yes.
And there's a lot of stuff that like.
And at prom, he gets outed, right?
Yeah.
My goodness, what a bad. I mean, but
he deserved it, but like publicly, that does sort of suck, you know, like because he was just a 17-year-old kid trying to keep up with the Joneses too. Like I have to give the same compassionate, humanized like lens to him too, because it's like, oh man, growing up is so messy. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Like I can't hate teenagers for making bad choices.
I guess so, yeah. But again, like I was never like that. So
Fair.
Fair. So I could criticize it.
Fair.
Because I wasn't like that, yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
How do you think this movie holds up compared to She's All That? Because I did say I like this movie more, so I'm kind of curious where you fall with this. And I'll defend after you're done why I like this movie more, even though I have a lot of grievances with it.
I mean, I obviously... there were elements that were fun to it. I definitely like. I think even right now, I know we didn't watch She's All That long ago, but I forgot most of it.
Sure.
This one will probably stick with me more.
It's more memorable, yeah.
It's more. I mean, time will tell, obviously, but I liked it slightly better, but like but also it was definitely more. I mean, egregious, but you know, I think also having, you know, some really killer characters really saved it for me. Because I'll be honest, like, you know, I'm like, I don't like any of these kids, but like I like Chris Klein and
Mina,
you know, Mina Savari. I like
Natasha.
And
I even kind of like Jason Biggs by the end.
I mean, I do too.
I forget his name in the
Jim.
Thank you.
He is a goof. I mean, David Schwimmer.
And like he's not a bad guy. He should have known better than to broadcast all that on the internet, but he got kind of what was coming to him. Not necessarily a fair punishment. She got sent back to her country. He just was the laughingstock, so not quite equal, you know, doing the time. But nice person who just needs to grow up.
Yeah.
I guess. Like, that's clear to me, unlike some of his friends.
Yeah, for sure.
Because Chris Klein also lies about sleeping with his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
He says it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So, like, what a nice guy.
For sure.
Like, and that's how you know he didn't say that to her to disarm her when he told her about the bet, you know? So it's like, there were likable characters with ours.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say, is like, I think Chris Klein's character is a better version of Freddie Prinze Jr.'s version. So, like, those are the things that I hold. Do I regret watching it? I don't regret watching it, but if I had never watched it, I would be fine. Like, but it was interesting to see,
because it's such a cultural thing. Yeah, to get where the references come from.
And yeah, I mean, and then they had prom, like the whole prom scene.
Apparently they made it, they thought Arabian Nights would be the lamest prom.
That's what I was gonna say. Okay.
And that's why they did it on purpose.
Okay, because that's
prom can be.
That's what I was gonna say right now.
I looked up that fact.
Okay, good. Thank you, because I was gonna go back to that. Yeah, and being like, what a weird.
It was like a lounge singer kind of act. Yeah, it was super strange.
Yeah, that was a very, especially since, like, in She's All That, like, they have a fucking dance.
Yeah.
Routine.
I know. It was more realistic.
It was more realistic.
Yeah, I think most proms are probably somewhere in between, more fun than the American Pie prom, but like.
Yeah, my school had fun proms, but.
They were fine.
Yeah. I think,
they weren't lame, I'll say that.
We had good locations. Maybe the kids were lame. Because I told you, it was at the Long Beach Aquarium and then Universal Studios.
It's amazing. California, why didn't I grow up here?
I know. And so if I wouldn't have seen it, I probably would have lived my life, been okay. But yeah.
I think why I like this one more is there's nothing in She's All That that's super relatable to me. I kind of felt like, especially as like a weirder alternative girl, if you will, like I was supposed to, like that was supposed to be marketed to me, and it's like, but I didn't like the jocks. Yeah. And I didn't want to fit in deep down. Not that Lainey necessarily wanted to fit down, but she kind of assimilated. With American Pie though, like not a lot is relatable, fair, but at the same time, I think all of us, maybe not all about sexuality, but I think all of us, especially when we're young, can't hardly wait to get to the next level of something, or we feel stuck and we feel like we're falling behind our peers. Yeah. So there's something about it at its core that's more universal to me.
Yeah.
And that's why I kind of give it a pass comparatively to She's All That. She's All That is just kind of like a star-crossed lovers starting off on a bad foot, and then they ended up liking each other, and she kind of changed, but he didn't change at all. Like, it's too over my head.
Yeah.
Like, I don't relate to anything about She's All That.
Right,
I relate to maybe not the specifics of American Pie, but the human nature to want to play catch up.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Or not be behind your peers.
Yeah. But I think in all these movies, because I've even gone back and watched some of like The Breakfast Club, and we've talked about that before, where like in watching it now, I'm like, it is kind of harmful to pigeonhole, like you have to choose one social group or the other.
Right.
Because I'll be honest, like I think probably a lot of those shaped my high school career.
You think so?
Yeah. I think because I did grow up with the 80s ones. I obviously didn't watch any of these ones in the 90s, but like in the 80s, I was like, oh yeah, you have to either be a nerd or you have, and it's like, we contain multitudes. Like, and that's something that you don't learn.
There's space for a lot of things to be true. That's why I feel so lucky that because I'm from a small town, and granted, my friend group, we weren't cool, but we also weren't beat up every day either. Yeah. And there was jocks and theater kids in our friend group, and kids that maybe didn't belong to either. So it was kind of like, maybe not as universal of an experience. I don't know. Yeah. But you're right though. I think I still internalized a lot of bad messaging and thought every jock was a jerk. Which, to be fair, it turns out they were. They were doing some really mean things. I found out about after high school. Like, I thought I'd forgiven them and thought that they grew up, but, like, I heard some, like, actual predatory things about, like, some men in or boys that were not as aspirational that they were making fun of, and heard from multiple sources about multiple people. So all the jocks from New Hope Silver High School of a certain age, you're bad people. Yeah. You're bad people. You need to fucking do better. Right. Like, you don't do the stuff that I heard about and turn out to be good humans. You just don't. So, like, they did really bad things. So I hate every jock in my grade. If you're a jock in my grade, you're canceled. But, so, I don't know.
And that's fine. And sure. And
I thought I'd grown above it. It was so sad to hear that they were really terrible.
Okay, yeah.
Like, that's what sort of sucks.
Yeah,
but,
no,
like, but no, I had really bad, like, sexist messaging. I had really bad trope messaging, for sure. Your point remains.
But, and so I do think it is harmful, but I do think the shining light of it is, like, Chris Klein's character. Because... Yes. Yeah, you could...
Because he could sing, too.
Yeah, he was.
Which, there's no way they would have given him a solo after 2 weeks. Like, I mean, that part was very unrealistic to me. I'm not going to let that lie, but...
Especially, like, he wouldn't have known. There's so much. But, I mean, maybe he... but it was cool. How unrealistic it is, whatever. But I think that actually kind of showed, like, okay.
Yeah.
You know, a little bit more realistic.
Yeah. I agree.
And then Finch sleeps with...
what'd you think about that?
I mean, it's just catering to the male fantasy in high schoal.
Jennifer Coolidge is a trooper because she committed.
Yeah. Oh, she's...
But you, like,
fantastic,
good Lord, like... I would be so annoyed if I had to, like, say those lines. Like, I would just age, like, 18 years, like, I like them or whatever. Like,
yeah, I just, that was,
gross.
I mean, and it's fine. And it's weird. It's, like, one of those things, though, where, I mean, I know he's 18, but, like...
It's legal.
It's legal.
Yeah, it's legal.
But like, I also do think, like, when
Power dynamics. Brain's not developed yet.
But when it's women to boys,
it's aspirational, not predatory. But it's predatory. Let's normalize that. So, especially your son's quote unquote friend. If Stifler wasn't such a jerk, it would not have been funny. Him,
for sure, yeah.
But him, because he's such a terrible human, it's like, oh, he got his, and Paul Finch won, but that's scarring. Like, that's psychologically scarring.
Yeah. That's a weird...
That's effed up. Yeah. Like, it...
Yeah, so I thought that was weird. And, that whole party at the end, it was funny because, like, that part I was... But I love Jennifer Coolidge. And
and Eugene Levy, which we haven't even done enough on. Like, he plays the awkward but well-intending... overbearing dad perfectly. I can't imagine anybody else in that role.
Exactly. And because his son does some ridiculous shit.
He's not judgmental.
Yeah, he's not judgmental.
Like, he understands the assignment where it's like, okay, this is growing up and it's awkward and I'm not going to make it worse. Let's try to contextualize this with weird metaphors, and it's awkward, but it's better than what a lot of parents do. Yeah. Under less weird offenses like effing a pie.
Yeah.
He's kind of a dream parent.
Boy. Yeah, exactly.
He really shines in the second movie.
Yeah, okay.
Like, he...
Yeah. I mean, he shines.
Because he understood that was a big part of what worked about the movie, so I think they wrote that character knowing what they should do with him, so... Yeah,
and it was... I was glad to have those people to latch on to. I will say, that's good. Yeah.
Which is interesting because She's All That had a great cast too, and it did sort of save it for us. But I think another point for American Pie, there's just something about the characters. It's not just the actors behind them.
Exactly.
In some cases.
Yeah, and so I think I guess I am glad that I watched it. Actually, now that I think about it, but. I forgot how it ends. I honestly don't know what...
They all just...
like,
start their summer. Like, they all got laid and it just kind of ends. I was wrong, though.
That's so weird. Yeah.
Mrs. Robinson by the Lemonheads plays in the sequel.
Sequel.
It wasn't this one. I was like, oh, right. Because I think it was like Third Eye Blind that like started the credits or something. I was like, oh, wait a minute.
That's right, yeah. But, because the Mrs. Robinson probably came out like a few years before.
Yeah, it was like 90s. It's a shame about it. I don't remember what year. But it was well before 95.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But, I thought it was enjoyable to watch.
Especially if you know the assignment going in, where it's like, this is going to be crass and camp and
they're
not like going to end up in the Criterion Collection.
Yeah, and like I was saying before, like there were a lot of things that surprised me because I was half thinking that I had already watched this movie, and there were some parts where I was like, oh no, I absolutely 100% did not watch this movie. Yeah, so yeah, that was cool. It was cool.
You lived. You got through it.
I lived. I got through it. Yeah.
Yeah. And the only reason why I want you to watch the sequels is just because it does. I think all the characters get a little more fleshed out. And I think that's why I think if it was just this movie and we were watching it for this exact podcast and there was no sequels, I think I would hate it a little more.
Okay, sure.
But because and it doesn't mean that the characters all do great things, but you do get little windows into like where they're at or what's happened to them or how they feel really. Mm-hmm. And if you humanize anything, I'm going to kind of like it. So I'm watching this movie through a different lens than you because I know where the characters are heading or like other facets to them.
That's fine. Yeah.
You know?
I understand that.
Yeah. If this was just one movie, oh dear Lord, a different face would be on my face right
Maybe
now.
They had to. Maybe they were like, oh, we legally have to.
Hollywood do the right thing? No, it was all money based.
No, it was definitely money based, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think we covered it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but
and it was offensive, but also I think there's worse things that could have happened.
Enjoyable offensive comedy.
And that's like another thing. Like I knew what I was expecting. Yeah. I got exactly what I was. And
you knew the assignment. Yeah.
Yeah, but nothing. There's definitely. I had in my head. There could be worse stuff, and that didn't happen. So, luckily. Yeah.
Which is amazing because there's so many bad things. It starts on a boner, someone drinks cum. Yeah. There's coercion into sex. Oh my god.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically
pussies. Wow, the fact that you thought it was worse. That was high bar.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're...
Internet predators.
Yeah, there's it's not great, for sure.
Yeah.
But, I think...
It can always be worse.
It can always be worse. Yeah,
that's my philosophy in life. When people say it can only get better, no, it can get worse.
Yeah,
there's no
limit. Yeah,
rock bottom.
Yeah, sometimes it gets worse before it gets worse. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. You have some great phrases. Another favorite of mine is instead of saying where there's smoke, there's fire. Clark is like, sometimes where there's fire, there's fire.
Yeah,
start using that.
I came up with that during the Trump era.
Fair.
Yeah. But
I guess that does it. So next week, unless we have a schedule change, we're going to be watching Breakfast at Tiffany's. I think that's what's on the schedule because we're going to throw another oldie in the mix. And you've seen it? Ish,
yeah.
I haven't seen it. I think I started to watch it a few months ago, and I think I watched 5 minutes. I don't know why I turned it off, but I watched 5 minutes.
I think I just see the poster all the time.
Fair.
And also, I love the song that by Deep Blue Something.
I'm actually not that into that song.
Nobody likes it. I've never met anyone who likes it.
Oh, do you like it?
I like it.
Okay. Look at you, always original.
Yeah, I'll give us probably for that review I'll give you a story. But yeah.
All right. Well, I'm Lauren-Blair Donovan, Blair Rex. Bam.
And I'm Clark Canez. Other Clarksy, bang.
Bada boom.
Bada boom, bada bing. That's for Godfather.
Oh my god, we're like psychic because we haven't watched it yet, even though by the time this comes out we will have. But this is what happens when we film 2 in a row. Silliness ensues. Bye.
Bye.